Hi everyone, I'm Dom Griffin, I'm a film critic and you're watching the Armchair Auteur. This is an ongoing video series I do where we talk about new movies, old movies, screenplay analysis, television series reviews, that sort of thing. So if you like movies and you like movie adjacent popular culture and you want to see somebody pick those things apart, you are in the right place and you should consider subscribing. As you can probably tell, this is not my usual place of recording videos. I'm at work. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's been a very long day. This video is the promised follow-up video to my review of The Batman, which was a spoiler-free review, but I promised that I would make a video that was just my spoilery thoughts, my actual unfettered, complete thoughts about the Batman movie, and just without having to worry about spoiling anybody. And I figured I'd put it out at the end of the weekend, once more people had a chance to see the film. This is not going to be like, there's not going to be a lot of B-roll or anything. This is just going to be, like I said, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I am going to just talk. This will probably feel a little bit like some of my older videos where I was just ranted for like 20 minutes or whatever. So if you're not like a diehard me fan and you want something shorter and like more brisk or something, totally feel free to click away right now. I respect that. This is going to be more off the cuff and just share my thoughts. I might kind of meander a bit probably, but I don't know, we're talking about a 3-hour movie, so I think it should be a little okay. I think it should be appropriate that we're just kind of gonna explore the space together. How's that sound? I have some post-it notes down here that I wrote in pen. I can barely read my own handwriting, so that might not have been the smartest move, but we're gonna pull this off. I think we're gonna talk about some things. First off, I just want to say I did see The Batman again a few nights ago. I got to watch it with my mom, actually, which was very nice. I still love the movie. I really thought I was going to have more critical thoughts. Like, I thought on a second viewing I would like it less than I liked it the first time. But I liked it, I would say, roughly the same. I thought it was still pretty fantastic. I also have written, I don't know, 6,000 or 7,000 words worth of like clickbait about the movie for Looper. So I've definitely had Batman on the brain for a whole week and a half now. It's not... Things have not been great lately, I will say. I'm pretty exhausted and pretty burnt out, but The Batman has given me all the serotonin I need to get through at least another week or two. And when those 2 weeks are up, I don't know what we'll do exactly. But for now, The Batman, still firmly in absolute obsession territory. I've been playing the score all the time. I just loudly hum the theme at people. People have been doing it back at me because it's just that raw. I think this is one of the best movies I've seen in a very long time. And obviously, I'm predisposed to loving this movie. I love Batman. I love film noir. I love long detective stories. It has all of the shit that I personally love. And it's realistic and gritty and stuff in a way that feels like the comics do. Like, the Batman comics are like serious and they're dark and there's grit to them and there's texture. But also, it's like a guy in a bat costume. He fights people called the Penguin. A lot of the themes are very broad, and they're really upfront and in your face. I've seen some takes on Twitter from people who talk about how like the movie is like a little too obvious, like a little too blunt. And it's like, I feel like the themes of the movie are definitely very kind of out front and obvious. And a lot of the ideas, I think, are pretty, clear. But I think it's the storytelling in the movie that I really, really appreciate. Like, there is real nuance to it. There is a lot of patience. There's a lot of scenes of just Bruce looking at shit, and then we have to infer what he's looking at and what that means and what that feels like and what that is. And if you watch just regular-ass movies or you go to the art house on a regular basis, like, that shit's not mind-blowing. But I think for a lot of people who have a steady diet of only watching certain types of tentpole movies and only watching stuff based on IP they like or whatever, that those movies don't really use this sort of language quite the same way. So it is refreshing to watch a movie that costs $200 million and does have action and a car chase and stuff, but also has all these little quiet moments and lets you piece stuff together. And yeah, the riddles in this movie are not like that much more elaborate or thought out than the ones from Batman Forever, but I think the riddles in Batman Forever are tight. Like, I think Batman Forever like rules, so that's good that they're similar. There's just so many things I loved. I love Jeffrey Wright in this movie. I think his Gordon's really good. I think his Gordon's chemistry with Bruce, with Pattinson, is fantastic. The scene where Gordon has to like get Bruce out of like the fucking station, and he's like in his face, like talking like this, but he's actually like, they're actually really, I don't know, that scene is really funny. People thought this movie is so dark and dour, like that scene's fucking hilarious. I don't know what's wrong with them. I love Zoe Kravitz as Selena. I think that one of the only criticisms that I've heard where I was like, I don't agree, but I sort of understand why people feel this way, is I've heard people say that they feel like her character was kind of like ancillary, which I don't agree with. I think she has like a fully fleshed out arc and stuff, and I think she's great in the movie. But I understand, I think, people who felt like this movie might be too much movie. Like, it's a 3-hour movie, and it's 3 hours because there's this many characters, and all the characters actually do get, like, a good amount of screen time. Like, Catwoman is in the movie for a good chunk of time. The Penguin doesn't have a ton of screen time, but Farrell makes the most of it. John Turturro, who's like barely in the trailers or anything, has like a severe, like he's like a big part in the movie. Like, I thought Falcone essentially being the lead villain for like the film, and then Riddler being sort of like the DC movie version of what Marvel does with a lot of their villains, where their villains are always like people who have like semi-right opinions, but they're jaundiced by like, oh, but they're also murderers. I thought it was cool that this take on the Riddler has so much in common with Bruce. You know what I mean? Like, he is like an orphan. He is someone who has all this unprocessed trauma. He does feel like he wants to make a difference in the city. It's just that he goes in a drastically different direction. And I think that maybe the fact that so much of the Riddler's arc in the third act of the movie, the fact that it's coded to resemble like the January 6th riots and stuff like that is maybe a bit much, because otherwise there is this sense of like, yeah, I mean, he is rooting out corruption. He is pointing out all these like hypocrisies and these power structures. The fact that he kills people is bad, I guess, and the fact that like he goes too far with it and like inspires all these like people to like, go in this whole other direction and stuff. Obviously, that's a bit much, but it works so well related to Bruce's arc that Bruce sees like this is the early scenes of the movie where Bruce is just like talking about how like I've been doing this every night. And I fucking suck. I'm like the guy who fucking sucks. It's not working. Is great to me because, like, yeah, you do this shit every night. It's not going to work. But he has to learn through seeing what the Riddler does that, like, that's what he's inspiring. He doesn't want more of that. That's bad. And I love that the movie kind of ends on this hopeful note, you know, like this idea that Bruce realizes the Batman he's been isn't working. He has to give more than just fear and well-focused violence. You know, he has to become something more. And it's kind of why I'm on the fence about the ending of the movie, actually. I think if the movie ends with Bruce tattered, dirty, looking up at the sky as that person is rescued, I think that's the end of the movie. To me, that's the smart end of the film. I think that's like a perfect ending. But obviously, superhero movies have to end in a way that's like, well, where is it going to go from here? So, like, I understand wanting to end the movie with the bat and the cat, you know, going their separate ways, and Selena realizing that Bruce is already, you know, married to Gotham and stuff. Like, I like that. It's a cool way to end the movie. And then I understand what Matthew Reeves said about feeling like that movie needs the Joker scene in between those two moments. Like, we have to see this idea that what she's talking about is true. Bruce is never fully going to change the city. There will always be some new threat, and the Joker represents that new threat. I just don't give a fuck about Barry Keoghan's Joker. I don't want to see that. I have no interest. I hope the Joker's not the villain in the sequel. I'm good on the Joker for a little bit. I'd love to see Reeves do something with some other characters. I just don't like that scene. As written, it works. Like, on the page, if you were like to read in the script, I think it plays okay. But I just don't like the way Keoghan performs it. I don't even really like the way Daniel performs it. It just feels like it's from another movie, a movie I didn't really want to watch. And everything else in this movie just still holds up. I complained a little bit in my video that I thought Daniel was one of the weakest links in the entire movie, but on the second viewing, his performance is pretty interesting to me. I think that once I figured out that a lot of this stuff in the first half of the movie, when he's being the Riddler on camera and doing kind of like this mixture of like Heath Ledger Joker and like Jigsaw, that stuff is like pretty funny. And like, if you accept that it's kind of meant to be a little funny, it plays better. And the first viewing, I thought it was being really, really like dark and arch, and then I'm like, no, I think they know some of this is funny, and I kind of liked it more. And I still love the second half of his performance, like when he's actually caught and he's actually like interacting with Bruce, the whole misdirect of Bruce thinking he knows his secret. It's actually that Nashton thinks they're partners. Like, that whole thing I think was really good, really great for the arc. It's also like one of the first times someone's done the villain plans on getting caught trope in a way that was like good. It makes sense. He was caught and he plans to survive this massacre because he'll be safe in jail. Like, all that actually really played for me really well. There's a lot of criticism of the movie that I feel like is kind of in bad faith. I've seen a lot of nitpicking over like little like, you know, the type of like CinemaSins bullshit that people pick apart. And like, I had to actually write an article about plot holes in the movie, and I was struggling to find any because I just don't watch movies that way. It's just not the way I think about stories. If I have to rack my brain to figure out what's wrong in your movie, maybe it's not that wrong. If I have to like work hard to think about it, maybe it's not a big deal. I've seen some people complain from like the right-wing side of things about the line of Selena talking about all these privileged white assholes or whatever and being like, oh, why'd you bring politics into my Batman? But I've also seen people complain about the inherent propaganda to the Bruce telling Gordon he's a good cop moment, or the moment of like, they have, oh hey, we found some cops that aren't fucking crooked. But look, it's Batman, and Batman as a pop cultural concept is just going to always have some measure of propaganda in the way the films are presented, okay? Like, as far as I'm concerned, Batman can have a little propaganda as a treat, okay? It didn't bother me. I don't think it detracted from the film. I think so much of the film is screaming about how the marginalized are ignored in favor of those in power, and how they, you know, misuse and abuse the system to enrich themselves and not others. That stuff is so there, and it's so prevalent. Not unlike the movie I wasn't a big fan of, but Todd Phillips' Joker has some more ideas in it too. Like, that stuff is there. It's louder than some of the other stuff I've seen people complaining about. And again, this is a $200 million Warner Brothers blockbuster. You gotta grade these things in a curve. You just have to, I'm sorry. Look, I'm very tired because I worked all night. This is like the busiest day I've had at work on the floor since the Saturday we opened Spider-Man. Spider-Man did make us more money, and of course it was like, you know, like Christmas week and stuff, but Batman did very well here. And the thing that shocked me the most about this movie is we had tons of like families and stuff for Spider-Man No Way Home, and we had plenty of like kids and teenage, like all the walks of life, right? Everyone was here for Spider-Man for that. And I kind of thought Batman might not play as well. I thought it might not do as good business. And I also just thought maybe it would only attract like slightly older folks or hipsters, or I don't know. I just didn't think it was going to be as four-quadrant a film as I expected. But we had tons of kids, tons of teenagers. When I say kids, I mean like little kids. And I remember thinking, like, seeing some of them go into the movie, like, what the hell are these children going to think of this movie? It's a 3-hour detective movie. Like, are they going to be into it? Like, they're probably going to be bored. Oh my God. And outside of one asshole who asked for his money back after sitting through 2 hours of the film, when in reality we know that man probably didn't like the movie 20 minutes in. I don't know what he stuck around for. There were so many kids who came out and they were like stoked. Like, the teens were into it, like the slightly older teens and some of the younger teens, but like literal little kids came out and they were into it. They were like, yeah, Batman. Like it's a Batman movie that like tickles adults who want like an adult-minded Batman, or a Batman movie that doesn't feel like it's for idiots or something. But it's still good for kids. Like, kids are just still gonna pop. Like, they love this shit. And I don't know, that kind of warmed my heart. You know what I mean? Like, I've worked in the movie theater industry for a long time, and primarily I've always worked in theaters that catered to like grown folks, like art house stuff, and like older people. And there's something really special about seeing kids and like young people watching a movie and loving it and enjoying it. Like, it always makes me just feel good about life. Like, movies are just so good. They're so special. And even like bad movies can be so fun. And the Batman has brought so much joy to like my life in the last couple of weeks. So many of my friends have seen it and they all love it, and I've had so much fun talking to them about the movie and just texting and sharing our favorite moments and stuff. And it's wild to me just feeling that feeling, you know what I mean? It feels so good. It's such a good feeling. It's so good to know this movie came out, that people like it, that it's not being as poorly received as I was worried it would be received. Like, it doesn't matter, but a part of me was going to be really bummed out if like I loved this movie and then everyone else I knew saw it and they were all going to be like, oh, it's so long, and this happens. Like, I'm so grateful that other people connected with it the way I did. You know, I'm 35 years old, and you know, once you get over the age that Bruce is perpetually at, like in the comics, Bruce is always in his like mid-30s. Like, now that I'm that age, I think about Batman differently, right? I connected so deeply with Batfleck and his arc, and like this beat up old piece of shit, basically alcoholic, who got everything wrong and like fucked it all up and just had so much regret, and then him finding this new hope, you know, like in Superman and these other heroes, and realizing he does want to make the world a better place. Like, that spoke to me so much. And here, watching like a Batman who's like, I mean, like sort of roughly my age, and seeing that person stuck in these self-destructive cycles and this kind of darkness that they can't escape, and just doing the same thing over and over again, and hating it, hating the results from it. Having that person go through a journey where they come out the other end of it, realizing what they're doing doesn't work, and wanting to do better, and wanting to make things better, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. That's really great. I think that's such a fucking good and important thing to put in a big blockbuster. You know, for the people who are nitpicking about some of the other messaging and some of the political context and stuff, it's like staring you in the face is this really great arc for one of the most enduring, like, fictional characters, like, in recent history. And it says something. It touches you. Maybe it doesn't touch everybody else. Maybe everyone else doesn't feel this way. I don't know. If you're watching this video, I don't even know how long I've been recording at this point, and you don't feel this way, I'm sorry. But I felt this way. And it just feels good, man. Like, there's been a Batman for every period of my life. You know, when I was a little kid, I burned a fucking hole in my Michael Keaton Batman VHS. When I was a little bit older, I watched Batman Returns, and I was very confused, but I love that movie. When I was a little bit older than that, Batman Forever, very important to me. One of my favorite Batman movies. I watch it all the time. I might watch it tomorrow. I haven't watched it in a little bit. I feel like it's time to rewatch Batman Forever. I fucking love Batman Forever. Batman and Robin. That movie, I hated it when I first saw it. I was so hurt. When Batman and Robin came out, I remember I was doing like a vegan diet for a few months as a kid. I was a fat kid. Yeah, I'm a fat adult, but I was a fat kid, and I was on a vegan diet. And I remember after Batman, I like broke my vegan diet and had like a crispy chicken sandwich at McDonald's with my best friend. We both hated the movie, and we were just eating at McDonald's. Like, how could this happen to us? That was like the most disillusioned I've ever been about a movie. Probably was Batman and Robin. But then, you know, I grew to love that movie later, you know, because there's just so much camp and it's so interesting. And then Batman Begins is very important to me. I was a huge Christopher Nolan fan, and then the fact that he was doing Batman, that changed my life. Dark Knight, oh my God, you know, even Dark Knight Rises, like, I love that there's always a Batman for me. You know, I spend once or twice a year, I reread Grant Morrison's like entire like 7-year run on Batman. You know, I love Batman. Batman's important to me. And I'm just so grateful, man. At the beginning of the pandemic, I didn't think that they were going to finish filming this movie. I couldn't even fathom that eventually it would come out, that theaters would be open, and then we could go. And then when we went, we would get to watch a new Batman movie. You know, I never thought that was, I mean, I knew it was going to happen, but it felt so far away. These last couple of years have been so long and so hard. And this Batman movie, it's just been the saving grace in life lately. You know, like, I'm just so glad it came out. I'm so grateful. And I really hope everyone else liked it too. And hey, if you're watching this and you didn't like it, that's cool. I respect you. I respect that. We don't have to like the same things. But I want to hear why. I want to hear why you didn't like it. And if you did like it, I want to know what you liked about it. I want to know how it spoke to you. I want you to just fill this comment section up with whatever your thoughts are, whatever your feelings are, what moved you. I don't really care about all the nerd shit, okay? Like, I'm a nerd, we all like the nerd shit. A million other people are going to have stuff about the Easter eggs or where they think the sequels are going to go and all that stuff. I don't want to talk about that. I just want to talk about the emotion. I want to talk about what it made you feel. How did it make you feel? Are you going to watch it again? What feeling did you feel the first time that you want to experience again? For me, I wanted so badly, I could not wait to re-experience the part where Bruce says, "They think I'm in the shadows, but I am the shadows." I popped so fucking hard for that scene. The entire sequence where Batman's like a fucking horror movie villain, basically, to Gotham, like that whole, it's so well done. I love that. I really wanted to re-experience how much Colin Farrell sounds like Robert De Niro when he's being interrogated after the car chase, when they're showing him the crime scene photos, he's like, "What are you showing me? Well, come on!" He's just like doing like De Niro. Oh my god, I love that. I really cannot wait again for the line reading for when Paul Dano is like saying no to Bruce when he's like, "I don't fuck with you at all. You're fucking nuts. Oh my god, incel." And he's just like, "No, no, no." All that, like, that was great. I popped for that, and I didn't think I would. There's so many things in that movie that are just like majestic. That car chase, it's so Friedkin, it's so reckless, but it's so legible. I love that Reeves shoots so many close-ups for his action. There's so much, you're so close to things, you can see the intimacy of the characters, but it's not like indecipherable like some of Nolan's stuff. Like, I love the black and red color scheme. I love the score. I even grew to love the fucking Nirvana needle drop that I thought was corny at first. Like, I grew to love that. Somehow it really works. I loved Bella Real. What a name for the mayor. Just fantastic little performance from Jamie Lawson. So much to love. So much good stuff. Serkis and Pattinson's relationship as Alfred and Bruce was so good. They didn't have a ton of screen time together, but they really make a meal out of what they have. Bruce just being this insolent fucking prick who just doesn't appreciate how important Alfred is to him until he almost loses him. When they're in the hospital and he's like talking about how he never thought he'd feel that again. Like, he thought he lost his parents and nothing else would matter as much. Then he realizes if he lost Alfred, that would be even worse. That's like just the importance of like what we mean to each other, and how we just really I know it's a silly thing in a movie, but just that moment of like this dead-eyed guy who's just been beating up people and whatever, realizing like, shit, I don't want to lose my other dad. I fucking love my butler dad, and I don't want him to go anywhere. That really fucking got me. But yeah, that's what I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what moved you. Tell me what moved you. That's what I want to hear. I could probably go on and on for like an hour about this movie, but I really need to get some sleep. And I love you guys. Thank you for watching this if you watched it. Let's go see Batman again soon. Bye.